I see you, Franco. I'm not going to do the intro. I'm just going to pull you right up here. I think we're live. Yeah. There you go. I think. I can, oh, there you are.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear
You
you.
hear me all right?
No, you actually sound pretty broken up.
Oh, I do?
Yeah, crackly, actually. I was just
I
gonna
wonder
go
if
on.
that's the mic.
It sounds like it.
Hang on.
Yeah, as you move around, it's making some crackling noise.
How's that?
Yeah, that's better.
All right, let me see what I got to do here.
Let's see if I can stream this from your link, but for some reason, here we go again. Hold on. I think my Wi-Fi's
No problem.
not working. For the second complete.
Excuse me.
Okay. Give me a second here. My Wi-Fi decided not to boot up. Okay.
No problem.
I usually have
no problem at all. I am just sharing out right now. We're live. We're live on Facebook. Let's
excellent.
There's no rush. I'm just trying to take a breather after the first two shows today.
Yeah.
Some good shows today.
Oh, cool.
We had Jason Estes was on earlier, and then
all right. He must have had
a
quite a
new
few
friend
updates.
by the name of he did actually. It was good. And then had this really interesting guy come on by the name of Yop, who's actually a PhD in biology, but 91 he started a phase of his journey and he created something he refers to as metaphysical ecology. It was very interesting. His studies and coming from a scientific view, and then combining that with his multidimensional intelligence or intel that's coming in. It was really interesting. You'd like him.
Yeah.
And actually, Jason's information actually match. A lot of times it matches yours, even though they're explained a little bit differently. But yeah, some of the definitely the timeline part of it. He said one of the things that he said today was he said at some point right after the first of the year, this very, very large, vast majority group is going to come in, so to speak, citizens of the earth, and they're going to have 10 years to accept this specific timeline, I guess is the way I'd put it. But a lot like what you talk about with the 10-year thing, or 15. I think yours is 15, isn't it? 2035.
Yeah, 15 is for the two parallel worlds to coexist, and then they have to merge. So basically, at that point, it's okay. It's time to merge, so we're not going to run the two parallels anymore. Well, yeah. I'm having a fun time with my computer here.
No worries.
Don't know what it's doing, but
I forgot to share out. Got a pretty good little crowd going on here. Very cool.
Well, this is interesting. Here.
I can't remember.
Let's see. I wanted to share it,
but you want to share it to a page, or
yeah, I was going to share it to my page from your page, actually.
Oh, well, I can do that.
Okay,
I can do that for you. Let's see. Let me go over here. And let's see, share. To a friend's timeline. Let's see if I can do it.
Okay.
Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. Let's see. Go. Yep. There it goes.
Okay. Perfect. Then
Boom.
I don't have to do my part then.
Man,
It's not
is there
cooperating.
any? I can't really place my presence is like here, but I feel like I'm everywhere. Like I don't know if that's not necessarily like in the good way that sounds, but not in a bad way. But I feel like scattered. But anyway, having said that, is there something going on like these last couple days? I mean, I know the Schumann resonance went off, and but I mean, is there something going on that's affecting the body and affecting the experience to a greater degree than normal? That's kind
Yeah,
of a dumb question.
we've had some pretty strong blasts the last little while, and specifically the last 2 days. So in a way, you're kind of your frequency is going so high, and it's fluctuating in such a way that you're picking up layers and layers and layers of realities that are all potentialities that you're kind of projecting. So you get a taste of it. So it's almost like you're getting on multiple screens, and then you can kind of choose which one that you want to align. But the beautiful part is that you can actually blend more than one. So you can say, well, I like some of this, and some of this, and then you kind of blend it out and create something of that nature. But these are samplings. They're not like, this is where you're going to step. It's just a sampling that you're getting, but it's also encoding you and also preparing you for these, what do you call it, opportunities or what we call the potentialities of reality. So at times, if you're still playing with within the organic 3D or an organic 5D, then you're going to end up blending the two at times to kind of see which of the what you can gain from either one. So you're getting a compilation of those streamings. So you basically got two different movies running, and they have each one has multiple screens. So it's like you having a computer with two screens in front of you, with one that has multiple opportunities and realities and potentialities based on your state of consciousness, and another screen that has all these potentialities, samplings of the organic 5D. And so in a way, even though that we're not so conscious of it, but we see ourselves kind of everywhere. It's like, it's almost like you see layers of it. And that's how I can explain it for some people. Some people actually are getting flashes. And I've heard people say that, they're looking at it and it's like, let's give me an example. You're walking down the street and you're looking like you normally walk down the street, and all of a sudden it's like you're getting another scenery, another scene coming in that looks very different, and it may shift between one and the other of the two scenes. It's like getting a glimpse of a potentiality or a future potentiality that you have. So I've had some people say, well, I'm walking down the street, and then all of a sudden, the street may be not, overly exciting, but then it seems like all of a sudden the sun is shining brighter, and then things look like more organized, and things are moving in a different way, and the energy feels different, and then I'm back to the same thing again. So it's really what's been happening is for us to give us these samplings, because it's also stimulating for us, of course, to go through this purging process of all that stuff that we've adopted as ideas and beliefs and so forth, that were all created, of course, in 2D, inverted 3D, and in different states of consciousness that we're in. So that's occurring. What I've picked up in the time energy, the present time energy right now, it is quite uplifting. Okay, in a sense where it's almost like, look, here, get a bird's eye view here of what's possible here. Okay, so that's happening. But what happens is, when you're getting a glimpse of that, at times, if you have still stuff going on within yourself, you're going to feel a little bit down. You're going to feel a little depressed or whatever it is, because it's like, oh, wow, that looks so great, but I'm over here, you know, type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not for
Yeah.
us to stay there. You know, it's just to say, hey, look, you have this potentiality and capability. The other part of it is, it's, you know, some people are feeling less hopeful, especially the ones that have been on the track of, you know, expanding and really reaching another level of state of consciousness. That, you know, with everything that's playing out, we start to get a little bit more impatient, and people are starting to feel a little bit more like it's not moving fast enough, even though there's so much going on, tremendous amount compared to anything of this was before. Plus, we're getting bombarded with an immense amount of energies and so forth. But at times it's like, oh no, I want things to go quicker. And so they start to feel that, oh, this is going to take too long. You know, it's like when you've gotten glimpse and you want things to go even faster now, and you'd like to see the reality around you to reflect it. That's when people feel that. So that's what this energy is doing. It's saying, okay, look at this. This is all shaping here. You're now looking at how everything is organizing on your playground, on your platform of how you're creating your reality. But when you're down there, keep this in perspective, that this is all changing. Just because you're seeing a smaller view of your surroundings, if you take an overall look, you know, you see much more going on. You, like when you're looking at the globe, for example, or the planet, there's so much more what do you call it, luminous energetically for the planet itself. It's like the aura around the planet is actually glowing further because it's being bombarded with these energies, and that we are, including Gaia, you know, shifting into that. So again, we're still in the same process where we're moving forward in a big way, but we're still also have to look at our reality. What are we focusing on? What are we putting our attention on as which direction we're going?
Yeah.
Right? You're actually glowing
So
with the sun. Right
we'll just use me as an example. This isn't reality. This isn't literal. So if I said to myself today, I get what you're saying, by the way. I totally get what you're saying, and that's related to this comment. If I said today, right now, I said, look, I get it. I get what I'd be giving up if I totally was not in 3D or not participating or not experiencing 3D anymore. I get that. And I realize there's some good with that and some not so good with that. There's some stuff I'd be comfortable with and that I'd have to get used to, whatever. Could I make that decision? Could I step totally into 5D regardless of whether I came over, that was it last month or not? Could I make that decision to embrace 5D totally at a conscious level, and would it work?
Well, it depends. Like if you're in organic 3D, for example, you can call in. You can say, okay, I choose to experience organic 5D. Okay, so you're still on the platform of organic 3D. I'm just giving you this as an example. I'm not pointing out one over the other. But
yeah.
So what you're doing is that you're now accessing not only the consciousness, but the energy streams and also the body projection of that organic 5D state. And you're still playing it in the organic 3D. Now, the organic 3D, again, is not like what we're looking around at this point in time, because we are, even in organic 3D, it's much more advanced, except that we're still playing the old, then that applies to both. So if you call that in and saying, and the thing is, the trick here, Todd, is how we approach it, okay? If we are wanting to escape, saying, I don't like this experience of organic 3D in your mind, and saying, well, no, I want 5D because that's better, then it's less possible for you to access that. But if you are curious and you're excited about to start integrating some of that into your organic 3D, for example, then you will get those streamings come through, so that actual fact that you can actually be in organic 3D, but in a more advanced state of playing it. And then whenever your soul, when you've come to the alignment where I no longer need to be there, then you can easily just move in. And the interesting part of this, and I'm going to share some information here, is that we have the two worlds. We have the organic 3D and organic 5D now. Okay, both of them have been duplicated. Everybody's been duplicated there. Okay, so there's a version of Todd in 5D and there's a version of Todd in organic 3D. Okay,
Wow.
And your soul can move back and forth. Now, what happens is wherever you are active. Where you're not, where you just have a replication of yourself there, that becomes an extra. So it's an extra until you move into it. So in essence, you can actually step into the organic 5D, for example, and I'm just giving you some ideas to this, how it works. And then that becomes the extra, and you are now embodying the 5D, and your reality is much more supported in the organic 5D. So it's not like you're leaving and one or the other. Both are existing. Eventually, the adjustments take place. So you're just moving back and forth, right, from one to the other. Now, most people, when they go into your organic 3D, the bulk of everybody, they're in there. And they're going to play in that realm because they still feel at a soul level and a human entity level that they still have a lot of work to do in the organic 3D, which the organic 3D, like I keep saying, it's much more advanced than, the inverted 3D and 2D that we've been living. But the key here that people need to understand, and I know we've said this before, is that for us to experience more of the organic 3D and 5D, we really have to, let go of all of the old versions of ourselves because we have multiple versions of ourselves. And if we still keep thinking about what happened and still labeling it and judging it and still giving so much power to it, then we're not living, we're on the platform of organic 3D, but we're not living organic 3D. And the same thing applies with the 5D, right? So like a lot of other people have said, that, we are clearing out the old us, the old who we used to be, or we never were any of that, because when we really understand, it's the role we were playing. It's never been us, because who we truly are is source itself, taking an embodiment and playing on a particular playground. So that's who we truly are. But then we take on projected versions of ourselves and play a role, for example. So, but the thing is, we get hooked on the old role and then we hang on to the old role versus, allowing ourselves to step into our new role that reflects more of the advancement of consciousness that we're moving into.
Yeah. I think that's what I was referring to. At least that's how it felt. What I was getting at, can a person, I guess I said it the wrong way, actually. I can disengage from these labels and these roles and these patterns and these behaviors. I guess that's what we're doing, really. But I mean, everyone at their own speed or whatever. But it's like, it's okay to be done with all that. Like, we don't have to go visit that place. Not that it's a bad place. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I don't have to go visit those places. I guess I've been detaching. We've all been detaching, but it just seems like, I don't know what value is there at this point. And maybe everybody's different and there's different groups, which you've asserted to. But yeah, it just feels like, for me, it's like, well, what's the value there? I mean, am I done?
Well, and if you are done, there's no value to be there in any which way. And this is why it's an open platform. So the fact is that you can stay there as long as you feel you want to play there and then move on. It's not like, okay, you're there, you're stuck there. Now, there is a bit of a buffer that's been put in so that you don't just, okay, I'm done with this, next. Because a lot of times when we make that choice, and it depends what part of us, if it's just our overall consciousness or if it's actually our soul, because our overall consciousness, which basically streamed with a lot of programs and so forth, may turn around and say, oh no, this is not that exciting. I want to go into organic 5D, right? So, but the soul's saying, wait a minute, no, we didn't even get to experience the organic 3D yet. And we didn't get our time in there to do what we came here to do, because there's things that we need to do here that is really important. Now, in many cases, there's also souls that are embodied that have chosen to play a particular role for that playground, saying, okay, I'm going to stay in organic 3D to play a particular role and to facilitate others that are there. And then when I'm done playing my role, I can now step into that. So you're not bound to any of it. And yes, you can shift. There's no, restriction like, oh, you now need to stay there for 10 years or anything of that nature. There's none of that. But it's just really, okay, it's time to upgrade my experience because I've done what I came here to do. Now, there's some of us that are working in both. So we're streaming in both. And so we're kind of moving back and forth, and you're active in both of them, but you're playing different roles. Like this conversation right now that we're having is streaming in both playgrounds, in organic 3D and organic 5D. The organic 5D may pick up more or less or whatever, and the same thing with the organic 3D. So we're streaming both because we're kind of bridging, because of the fact that there's a what we're providing right now assists both.
Wow. Yeah, that's it kind of feels like holding a, what's that old saying, holding a tiger by its tail, but you got one in each hand.
You're right. Exactly.
Well,
that actually,
I mean, it's go ahead.
Yeah, I like your analogy. If you're holding one tiger, okay, by the tail, you really have to put a lot of effort to hold that one back. But if you got both, the thing is you're holding on to both and they're going to be tugging, but you can balance off each other, right? So in an essence, it's actually a little bit more stable in a sense while the transition is going on when you're going back and forth. Because sometimes people find it, if they've jumped a little too far, that they get pushed so hard that it's hard to maintain a balance. So they may have a deeper crash or anything of that nature. Yeah. Anyways, I'm hoping that made sense. Well, I mean, it's clear in my head.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, it makes total sense. I mean, it's God, changes so quickly. I mean, even like today, I'd have to say the last 2 days, but God, the impact of the energy is just. It's just like we haven't even. I'm saying this from my own perspective. Like the impact of the energy, quick, solid, powerful. You felt it, And from what I can pick up today, just in doing the shows and stuff, it seems like it's everywhere. People are specifically talking about the physical ramifications of the energy coming down. And to me, in a broader way than before. I mean, it's like, it's intense. Mm-hmm. It's intense. Well, we keep going.
Yeah, it feels intense, but in fact, it's very, very supportive. Now, where it can feel a little bit earth-shattering in a way is that depending on how much are we holding of the old version of ourselves, that's when we're going to feel it much more impactful in a way where it could be, uncomfortable. Let's put it this way, because there's the polarity exists. Like there's that version of you that's coming out, and then the old one is still identifying it. Even if you're not holding on to it, there's a programming within ourselves that are identifying with it. So it doesn't make any sense. But there's also the body is involved too, because the body stores a lot of memory, and as that's purging out, right? So some people have been feeling very intense physical stuff going on, either elevated pains or some people have been, digestive problems. Some have been, having eruptions in their body, like, for example, flare-ups within themselves. Some people have been known to be, having aggressive bowel movements and whatever else, because it's just you know, it's pushing out all these memories out of the physicality as much as possible. So it's purging. Now, the thing is, a lot of times people don't always pay attention to what the body's saying, because when these new energies come in, and when they're so powerful, the body wants to adjust to it. But if we're putting foods that are of lower vibration, or from a habitual consumption of something that the body's not really, so it will come in and the body's going, oh, no, we don't want this. We're pushing it out. So it pushes it out. So sometimes people vomit, sometimes whatever. Yeah, part of it is the old stuff coming out, but at times it's just saying, hey, we're not being supported with this food, this frequency of food that we're putting into our system. So this is where it becomes a little bit more important to kind of tune in and kind of find out from the body what it wants. The other thing is to, a lot of times we think we're hungry, but we really just need more hydration or more liquid. So drinking the purest form of water that you can and so forth will also help with, you know, the balancing of the energies, because our body's made up of mostly water anyways, or water, what looks like water molecules, that frequency. But as that's moving through, because a lot of the water that becomes in our body starts to get filled with all the stuff that needs to be purged. So it wants to have fresh coming in so that it can eliminate the others. So the body's going through it. The mind is also wrapping up. So sometimes you may feel like you need to sleep a lot, and I don't know, or you just can't sleep at all. You know, you feel totally like you're tired, but you can't sleep. Yeah. So these are all the things that are kind of the things that are playing out at the moment.
And these, you know, people hear tones and have talked about that for a long time. The tones seem to be just like, I mean, it's like, for me anyway, it's like going crazy. You know, I'm going crazy. It just, every time I turn around, I'm hearing some type of, as I understand it, a universal tone, some kind of harmonic. And and there's also what's, not only are they more rampant now, but they're carrying like a vibration. Like I feel like I'm, you know, like shaking like that. Is that part of, is that normal?
Yeah, well, what is normal? Yes, everything now becoming more, the crazy is becoming more normal. But yes, the frequency plays a huge role on how it actually vibrates the molecules in your body, okay, the energy in yourself too. So it is part of the upgrading that's taking place. So these tones that you're using, these frequencies that we're hearing, there's actually more than what we hear. Some people can hear it right inside their head without even hearing it in their ears. But like you were saying, you can feel it in your body. So it's almost like you were standing beside two speakers that were having a tone of some sort, and you can feel it in your body. You feel your body picking up the frequency because you can feel it. Yeah. So that's part of it too. But that's the harmonic tones and frequencies that are being also transmitted. So it's coming from the space around us, around the planet, but it's also the inner earth is emanating through that. So it's actually vibrating through the layers of the planet itself. So just imagine this. It's like dropping two pebbles into the water apart. You know how you see the waves spreading out? Well, the two waves are kind of crossing each other, and they don't actually cancel themselves, but they actually overlay each other. So that's what's happening with us. Is we're getting it from coming down and coming up. You know, so it's going through us two ways in a way.
Well, the other thing too is, of course, I've done a lot of shows. I'm doing this for quite a while. I've done shows 5 and 6 in a day. So this is the third show today, and all three shows, like I don't know how to explain it, but each one of them had like has its own unique energetic signature. That's how I would describe it. There's that distinction, which I guess I've noticed before, but not this obviously. And two is there's no question that I feel like I'm being plugged into at a level I never have into a wider energy or a wider combination of frequencies represented by people or whatever. I don't know, but it's like really, really, you know, evident to me. This is different. I mean, something's really different. I don't remember anybody. And maybe I just don't remember, but I don't remember anybody citing October 30th as being anything. Not that it matters, but I mean, I'm feeling this thing like I never had before.
Well, it started on the 26th to be exact, and it's been ramping up since. So it's kind of doing the wrap up, because October was a pretty powerful powerful month, and it was for a lot of preparation. We still have another I shouldn't say intense, but let's say powerful month to go. For November is also another stage. And then going into December, of course, we have some pretty powerful things that are coming in to kind of prepare us, including some other changes before we go into the 2020, because the plan is to be able to, by the second week of January, to be able to, so it probably be anywhere between the 11th and the 14th, that to be able to be aligned at a certain frequency so that we can start a new path in our journey as a collective, for example. So there's a lot going on in that regards. Now, you made a good point there I wanted to share. As you said, the signatures are different because all of us are bringing messages, but we're also carrying different frequencies, because to have the different spectrums of energies coming through, it's not like one stream only, but having multiple streams coming in, and each one activates certain parts of it. And some people are activated more by certain streams than other streams and so forth. You're kind of in the middle. So you're receiving it and transmitting it at the same time. So you're receiving quite a few different ones and transmitting it with everyone that you play with. So every person that you've engaged with at this point, and specifically today, you can notice it even more, that you join that energy imprint. So it ignites in you and you're transmitting, and say, because we're doing it together right now, I'm transmitting, you're transmitting, but there's a resonance of frequency that matches, and then it's coming in different spectrums, but of the same frequency, and it triggers people. So the three back to back, I mean, how they went, each one played a particular role, right? And so it's really well orchestrated how all of this is playing out right now in a sense where, you know, we're being facilitated in a huge way for all of the stuff that's going on. And I don't know if you've noticed, but with the things that are going on, there, besides the intensities that are taking place, you can kind of feel there's a strong change of, I call it almost a change of air, but it's really a change of energy, because especially if you're out in nature, you'll notice it very intensely, that it's almost like every part of nature is like a satellite dish beaming at you, sort of thing. And it is really just, and it's not to make it uncomfortable, it's really just to kind of get you to align with those frequencies so that you can actually move even with more ease. If you're in the city and you're exposed to a lot of people and so forth, then you're going to find a kind of a different experience. But at the same time, you're going to notice that almost like the scenery, the brightness of people and whatever else is changing. And so some people will look more emanated, like brighter or whatever it is. And then others are going to look like more, they don't exist, but they're there. You know, they're walking around, but they're like, they're not present, sort of thing. So it's just kind of showing us that part. But at the same time, it's really playing a role for us to kind of be able to experience, even if you're not in nature, another version of that activational aspect of yourself at this point. So there's many,
You
many
say
things
that
going on.
yeah,
Go ahead.
obviously. I feel like my head's going to explode. So, but you say there's going to be some substance to November. You said it's not going to be like. Did you say it's not going to be like October, but there's still going to be some
Yes,
significance
yes,
to it?
there is. It may feel a little bit of a calming, in a sense, compared to what October was like. But at the same time, it's still going to continue to move us forward. We have some bigger things, much more intense burst going into December, so it's kind of almost preparing us for it. So the calmness, the slight calmness of it, even though things are still moving, it's just giving us time to internalize it, time to integrate it, time to get our head straight, our body straight, our soul frequency straight, and all of that stuff. One thing I could suggest,
Sounds like a pit stop.
Yes, kind of a pit stop. Yeah, it's almost like a moving pit stop, but it's not going to be as crazy as October has been. But what was I going to say? I was going to say something about that. I had this thought that came into mind. Now it's just kind of blew off.
I wonder. Sorry about that.
No
Jake
problem.
put up this comp. Jake made reference to 1031, October 31st. They say this is the thinnest. This goes back. I've seen this before. He's talking Hindu here, but this goes back to they say the veil's the thinnest. And I wonder, just from an energetic standpoint, if maybe that's some of this energy is like, which is making it more distinct. Like, instead of having one singular experience, we're having, like you said, the two tigers by a tail. And so you can really see the distinction between the two. And maybe that's part of what's knocking us off balance a little bit, or making us feel uncomfortable, whatever people are going through.
Well, yes. I mean, the thing is, the distinction is very vital for people, because a lot of times when they start to, like, if you're living one type of life for a very long time, that becomes your norm. Then you're being pushed to see something else, and your default wants to go always back to the norm and play with that, and then everything is conditioned and programmed to be able to do that. So when you're getting both, you're seeing the two, and it's really vivid on both of them, then there's a distinction, and it's almost like, what am I giving up to move into this? Like you had said earlier when we started the conversation, is what am I giving up to do this? But when you actually start living that, you see that you're really not giving up anything that actually meant anything that much, because what you're stepping into has much more meaning for you, and it actually feels more natural in the sense. So the mind may say, well, that's not normal. We don't have any reference point for that, but so that's kind of what's playing out when you're looking at both aspects of it. And this is one of the things I was saying, because when you have multiple screens of all these potentialities that are streaming, that you're able to see all the things that you can access. So you got one focal point. Say that focal point is in the middle, and you're saying, well, this is my current existence, my current reality stream. This is what I'm playing with. And then you're seeing all these other potentialities in the screen, and you're getting a sample of all of that. And you're going, wow, okay, there's that, and there's this, and this, and this, and this in there. And that focal point becomes to a point where you're now not making that as your main. You're starting to, be interested in looking at other parts of it. So really, when you're letting go, when you're losing whatever people believe that, what am I letting go here to be able to play there, you'll notice that, you were ready to let it go because it didn't serve you for a long time. And it's just that we believed that we had to hold on to it, and that it was important for us. Right. Because once we start experiencing it, Todd, it's just like, it's phenomenal. what we
Yeah.
have the potential to do, and we are tuned and being tuned to do so.
Well, one of the things I notice is that I don't know how you want to refer to this, higher timeline or organic 5D, organic 3D, I don't know. Phone calls, solicitations, or opportunities. I see it's happening. Like people reaching out saying, "Hey, I want to collaborate," or "I want to assist you," or stuff like that. I can see it happening. It's been happening, and it's really picked up like the last 2-3 days, and that feels all right. That feels good. It feels more than all right. But then also there's other things. Like I had a little car trouble, and the interesting thing is when I figured out what it wasn't that bad. It will need to be fixed, but I'm looking at it from another perspective, and I didn't have to like train myself to do it. It just happened, which I don't think is normal or hasn't been normal, because we've gone through all this stuff and you have setbacks and this and that. And I just thought to myself, well, this is getting fixed now for a reason. Almost like what you talked about with the lull, like the moving pit stop, like things are getting ready. That's the impression I got. So I do see some of the old patterns or things that are familiar to the journey as far as the human aspect is concerned, popping up. And I guess the way I would describe it is what I said earlier. The distinction between that and the other tiger on the tail is really, really different. Like for me anyway, it's a whole different perspective. It's very clear to me which one I want to hold on to, which is why I said what I said at the top of the show. Like, can I just walk away from that stuff?
Absolutely.
It sounds like a simple question, but it's
no, you
but
can.
I know it's not simple.
Yeah, you can, and you can. And the thing is, you start off by walking away by chunks of your old reality and say, okay, this is not important anymore. I'm not putting any more focus on that, so I'm going to let that go. So the moment you let that part in, something else comes in that replaces it from a higher state of consciousness and a higher dimensional potentiality. So what you're doing is just you're kind of going through it one by one. Can you just throw it all out all at once and say, okay, great, you want to go in there? It's very much so, as long as your soul is in alignment with that and saying, okay, we don't have any other agreements that we have to finish any part or do any part or play any role or anything of that nature, then yeah, there's nothing to stop us to be able to do it. Until that, you get to that point, you may still have bits and pieces that you may still be playing out, but that doesn't mean you have to hold the whole thing in. It's like, oh, you need this little piece? I don't have to hold all of this. I can start letting all of those parts in, because they'll start filling in with fifth dimensional stuff instead of, because there's only a small part left that I need to still hold on to. And it's not even so much a holding on to. I still need to utilize and use it for its benefit that it's there to provide you. And that's it. So you don't have to, and this is the thing, because a lot of times we feel it's a do or don't, I'm either there or not.
Do or die.
Do or die. We have that's a programming, that we believe that it's a do or die. We don't need to have a do or die. Just say, okay, I'm starting to plug in all these things.
Yeah, and you mentioned these, I think you mentioned at the beginning of this show, you're talking about specific people, these people that have been doing this work for a long, long time. They maybe got a little impatient. That whole do or die frequency has been in there. People have had to work with that, myself included. It's not that important. Don't take it so seriously and all that stuff, right? But I think maybe the other side of it too is, Morgan always talks about how she does everything consciously, which means that it's going to be very deliberate, steady, but deliberate, and allowing her bodies to take it on and process it and transform with ease and grace. Let's just put it that way. Maybe some of certainly you would think some of us, and I would have to say I'm in that category and I have to fight it, is pushing the accelerator down full blast wanting to get wherever. And of course, that can only occur by removing and making space. And maybe some of this is just, I don't want to say an overabundance of light, but, it's a lot to take in, right? I mean, it's a lot to take in as I understand it, not just on the physical body as it's making this transformation, but in all bodies, I guess, involved. Would that be correct?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And, as much as we want, and the only time, we feel that we need to step on the accelerator is when we find that, oh, okay, I'm not liking where I'm at now and I want to be there, but we miss all the journey in between and all the beautiful, amazing experiences that you have while you're traveling. Okay. A lot of times people would say, I want to step on the accelerator, but, what are they dragging in the back of themselves? What are they pulling with them? Because a lot of times people also make connections. Well, I want to go there, but I want to drag my whole family. I want to drag all my friends. I want to drag whatever, or my old life with me.
Yeah, right.
So it's like, how many things do you have tied at the back of your car that you're trying to accelerate with? You're dragging all of that. It's going to keep you moving a lot slower. So the less that you're holding on to, and if you let all of that go, then you can go a lot quicker. But it's not about the speed. It's about enjoying the whole journey while you're at it, because this journey won't be replicated. This journey that we're on right now is a one-time thing. So it's not.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Does the whole universe think we're crazy?
No, actually,
they're like, we watched this one. We don't want to be part of that. We just anybody that wants to go back for a rerun can. Oh, I don't know. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, the reason I'm saying that it's a one time is because the stages that we're going through, the changes that we're going through, it's not going to be replicated. It's not like before. You would come into a physicality of human physicality, and the changes between year or century, like you say, okay, even if you lived 100 years, you come back 200 years later, and there was some changes, but very minimal in comparison. Right. And
I see.
Right now, it's moving so fast that if you blink, you miss it, sort of thing. Right. So in essence, it's like, I don't want to miss any of this because I can't go back, because it's all dissolving as we're moving forward. It's not like a timeline that exists. The timeline fades away the moment we're in the next moment. So and the moment before that is all complete new, a new creation altogether. So that's the thing. So it's not about the race. It's about enjoying every aspect of it.
Yeah, true. At warp speed. But in the previous show, we were talking about that. And we were talking about the time period, which kind of falls in line with your timelines, which would be like January in 2020 in general. And he made the comment that, and I don't remember the specific context that I asked the question. He made the comment that, I could see this happening in 3 or 4 years. Like, and I'm not saying that in a bad way, just this is what he was saying. But I'm looking at it going, well, based on the dynamics, which we haven't seen, which are being forecasted, like with what you talk about. I mean, who knows? 3 or 4 years could pass in 3 or 4 days, the way this information's moving. It seems like. I mean, I feel, and I've said this before to you, but I more and more every single day, I can see hard evidence of my body changing, literally changing into I guess, the crystalline or the light body. I don't know, but it's obvious. It's like I can't dispute it. I mean, I may not be able to prove it very easily to anyone else, but I don't think that'd be far. I can't be the only person this is happening to.
No.
Other people have to be going through the recognition of that within themselves. They have to be.
Yeah, I mean, everybody to whatever degree, because it all varies, are completely being transformed. So to go into this more crystalline, because the crystalline state carries a ton of information in comparison to what the carbon base was able to do. So. And it can be charged a lot easier, and it can actually, besides carrying so much more information, it can actually relate with the changes of whatever we're doing, so that our body becomes more malleable with it. So our vibration will match whatever we're creating in our reality. And we can create things in our reality a lot faster because we emanate that within ourselves. So the consciousness activates in a certain way, then our body starts to emanate it in all directions because it's got those light codes already in there, and it'll pick up more of it and it'll transmit, so that the reality shifts around you. See, the world, the thing is, we have to understand that the world, as much as it looks solid, is just a holographic expression, as we are a holographic expression, which is just held by, our own consciousness, streaming it. So the body itself basically is that holographic, but in essence, by going into that crystalline state, it does carry so much more information to create higher and higher levels of potentiality and more flexibility and movement between one reality to the next, to the next, to the next. So you're actually creating much more than you've ever been before. Because to look at it this way, the more you become crystalline, the less you can stay stagnant, the less you can stay in your old role, the less you can hold on to the old paradigms and the old ways of life, because it doesn't support it. Let's put it this way. If you have something that's moving very slowly, you can stay on the ride for a lot longer. But when something is moving at a hyper speed, you have to be really attentive to see whatever's going on, because you're moving through it fast. That's it. There's no lingering here. There's no stagnation. There's no getting stuck in and say, well, let me smell the roses for the next 5 years, type of thing. No, you better smell the roses real quick, because there's more things coming up at the same time.
So the way I understand it, and I don't know if this is accurate, so carbon-based to crystalline to light body, does the intel in regard to the removal or whatever of the inverted 3D, or this time period in December, late December, does it coincide at all with the majority or with the collective transformation in the physical? I mean, like, in other words, is the crystalline body online, in line with that date, where the projection of the inverted 3D is no longer playing?
Well, the point was to get as much of it as active, because it's a transition. It doesn't happen that you go from carbon to crystalline. You're basically moving. So it's like it's transforming. So even if you had a chunk of it, a part of it starts to change into crystalline, and then you still have carbon, but eventually the crystalline just starts to expand. So the point is that you want to be at a certain level where you're able, by preparing yourself to enter into 2020, to be able to hold much more information, much more energy, much more fluidity in your creation, and the way that you experience yourself in the body, experience yourself in all the different other bodies too. So the point is, we want to achieve a certain plateau of transformation within the body from carbon to crystalline, to be able to, because the light body part comes down the road. Now, some people are already starting to experience more of the light body anyways, which is the next level up, where the crystals are really powerfully glowing. You become much more transparent in a sense, but now you're carrying phenomenal amounts of sourceness within yourself in your projection. But the people that are going into a more rapid light body because they're playing a particular role, and it's not so instrumental for them to, do certain things in their own journey, personalized journey, right? So, and they're saying, okay, my personalized journey is a small factor, but my biggest factor is to facilitate the planet. So I'm going to become a light body. I'm going to carry a phenomenal amount of information and emanate it throughout as an example, and also to be able to already encode all the other humans on the planet at the same time, just by being that catalyst and that conduit, for example. So the thing is, the unplugging around the 21st, 22nd, I think it's 21st, if I remember correctly, of the inverted matrices, so that we don't have the old inverted 3D, 2D streaming that people are receiving within their own, what do you call it? Artificial intelligence or ego, right? Hopefully we didn't lose you. Oh, okay. You still there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes. Can you hear me?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
I hear you, though.
You can hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you sound
Okay.
yeah, you sound very, I didn't catch hardly any of that, but I'm with you.
Okay, I'm just gonna check.
It's very,
How about it now?
no, I think that sounds better, but I think it was my signal on my end.
Oh,
That
okay.
sounds much better. Whatever.
All
you
right.
did.
I just brought it to a different microphone. That's all.
It's still my signal.
Okay.
Oh no, that sounds good. Sounds good when it comes in. It's on my end. Yeah. We
Yeah.
had a
So
little
yeah,
cold
coming
snap
in, what I was saying about, I don't know, can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. So the thing I say about the 21st with the inverted matrix projection going out, then basically the artificial intelligence, which is the ego, is no longer being streamed to new information, reinforcement, and so forth to be able to sustain itself. So what happens is the ego artificial intelligence now is flying solo in a way, and is not being renourished and reinforced. So what happens is it's easier to start to break down its pattern, because what the ego does is basically it's a story creator. Okay, now even if you unplug, I just wanted to share one thing because I meant to share it another time, but I'm going to talk about it in one of the workshops. But the ego itself, even if you unplug the ego, okay, that's the story maker. But what the story maker does is basically it just takes things that have happened and definitions and whatever else, and will project ideas and so forth and create realities in the mind of saying, what if this and what if that? If you do this, this might be beneficial, but you can have something else and whatever. So even if that dialogue stopped, okay, then the other part is your overall consciousness now needs to be reprogrammed so that it does not have automatic defaults and responses and also reactions and so forth. So a lot of times they say, well, if the ego's gone, then I'm just in peace. Well, yeah, you won't have the noise. You won't have the same noise in the dialogue of all this craziness of going, yeah, you should do this. No, you shouldn't do that. Well, if you do this, well, what happened to the last time I did this and so forth. So you get that out of the way. But then this is what part of the deprogramming is that we have conditioned ourselves that if somebody says yay, you say nay. If somebody says you're screwing up, we feel bad. And not only feel bad, that we need to retaliate or anything of that nature. That's all conditioned and programming. That's in the mind's operating system. So that needs to deprogram too. This is why it's in stages. So first stage is we stop the streaming. Then after the streaming, it's the deprogramming, or what we call the ego going into redundancy, or being put out of service or out of commission over time. And then the rest of it is left is the deprogram. Now, all of us are doing it to some degree anyways, because like some of the stuff that we're being bombarded with is helping us to shift away from any streaming that's coming from the inverted matrix. It's already starting to notice and observe the stories and dialogues of the ego and say, okay, no, not choosing to play with you, this, that, whatever it is. And you start doing that. And then, of course, the deprogramming is your defaults. You start to unplug those default responses and how you feel and so forth. Because the programming is not only how you respond, it's also how you feel physically, like an emotion or something of that nature, right? So all of that. So in essence, when all of these, and this is why there's a certain amount of time that was provided for us to be able to go through this process, even though we're being pushed really quickly. Normally, this would have taken another 100+ years to do, which we're trying to squeeze it all in within 3 years or more.
Which, oh, I thought it was 2 days. feels
Well,
like, feels like 100 years in the last 2 days.
in a
Yeah.
way, yes. Yes. I mean,
So can,
mhm.
can, tell me again, I am like, I can only think of one thing at a time. I don't remember any of our past discussions at this point or any.
Well, you're talking to a
What are
lot
we
of
doing
people.
here?
So,
What can you just let me know? Because I have no recollection if I've ever asked you, if anyone's ever answered this for me. What the hell are we doing here? How do we get here? And what do we do? What is the
well,
importance of the human, of this life, of our of what we're conscious of? You know, all
okay.
those in one question. I hope you can understand.
Yeah,
I'm
no, I got
usually
it.
much sharper than this.
Well, you've had a pretty enlightening day, so it could fry a few cells for temporarily while it restructures itself. So we have to understand that part. So I guess the question is, why would you even want to come here? Why is it so important to be here? And why now, or anything of that nature? I mean, that's kind of the question a lot of people ask too. So, I mean, we're here because we, at a soul level, agreed to be here. At a human entity level, have agreed to play and participate with the soul. As for the physicality, the physicality, was manufactured by mom and dad in a way, specifically mom for the most of it. And it says, okay, we're going to reproduce another aspect of ourselves to come in with different spectrums of light, different signatures, different frequencies to be able to come and play. Now, every single planet is a playground. Each and every single planet is another opportunity for source to express itself. Okay. As a soul, you have the opportunity to choose any particular playground that you choose, or not to choose one at all, meaning that you don't even take on any form, or you can stay in non-form and support other ones that have taken forms, or you can just choose to stay as source, right? But at the point, the reason that we are all here, the people that are on the planet on this particular playground, is that we've chose to come and participate on this particular playground with the opportunity to advance itself as source in a very polarized, very intensified, very opportunity-filled playground. Now, some of us specifically came, a lot of them came to have the ride, to come for the ride, to get lost in it, to move through it, to kind of realize whatever they needed to realize. Others have come and said, okay, I've been there before. I didn't make as much progress last time, but now it seems like even more, so I'm going to go do it. Others have come here because they wanted to help facilitate a lot of the changes that are going on, so that they're bringing their light, they're bringing their codes, they're bringing their experiences from other playgrounds, from other advanced civilizations and other ways of expressing itself. But at the same time, different souls also bring higher vibrations because of the fact that they emanate more sourceness, because they've removed more of their veils because of the different playgrounds they played on and whatever there is. So many of us all have various purposes of being here, but we are not here by chance. We have chosen to participate, and we came here with a particular purpose and agenda. Now, no agenda is rock solid. Each agenda is with a preliminary assignment, self-assignment. And I say self-assignment. Sometimes we are convinced by our soul family or other beings that we work with that's saying, "Oh, you would be really good and skilled at this, so you go down there and you go do it, and we'll be the back end. We'll help you in that regards, right?" So, but you
they're the ones I cuss all the time, right?
yeah. Well, especially when you meet up with, the fun part is when you meet up with them and they're going, "Well, why is it so difficult?" And I go, "Okay, which one of you want to go down there and take on a body right now?" they all seem to, oh no, it's okay. We'll just observe, right? I go, unless you have
Armchair.
hands-on experience here, don't you know, it looks easy, but it isn't,
Yeah.
because you can't turn around and say, well, why can't they just sift? Well, you take on the roles and you take on the physicality, you take on all the streaming and all of that stuff, and you'll see that it's a different dance altogether, right? So, but anyway, we're here because we felt somehow we're either going to contribute to ourselves personally, that's going to contribute to the collective, or we've come in to facilitate the collective upgrading that's going on. Now, many of the souls have come here because of the fact that they knew that planet Earth was going to be put back online within the galaxy itself, and there was a lot of work that still needed to be done. And when I say work, I'm talking about a lot of advancement and a shifting in its operating system and so forth. So they said, okay, let's go there and let's play our role. We'll take on the physicality, we'll play the role, and we'll transmute every part of those roles that we choose. So a lot of people that are doing that are going through a very powerful fast track. That means they can go into the darkest state and then light, dark and light, whatever it is. And then what they're doing is just transmuting. So they'll feel some of the real intensities of the human experience, for example, and then able to transmute it or transform it and shift out of it. Others are, you know, connecting with Gaia and holding a specific energy, triggering, you know, whatever you want to call it. Others become channelers. You know, there's so many varieties, but we're here to play and have fun. That's what we came here to do. We forget about.
We need to remember that we need to remember that when it feels like we're playing ping pong with a super ball.
Yes,
and we're the super ball.
Right.
I'm kidding. I'm having fun.
No,
I'm having fun with this today, but it is very noticeable. I don't normally. I don't feel like I normally fluctuate too much. I have my moments, but I can actually, and you know, the funny thing is I could feel it today. I could see, touch, feel it, smell it, but I realized today as well that this has been going on a couple of days. And I guess you probably pointed that out when we talked the other day and said, hey, this is coming, but I wasn't listening. But one of the things that kind of matches too, regardless of how it's explained or potentially unfolds or whatever, the consensus being that after 2020, after January the 1st, on or abouts, there's a whole really like in no way before a whole different ball game. And for the people that have been doing the work much longer than me, you know, 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, whatever, the ones that have gotten a little impatient, the ones that would like to make a leap, the ones that, you know, have been busting the energetic doors down, it's gonna be a whole different ball game. And I think what I was getting from one of the earlier shows today when I was talking to the guest was that I think we talked about this last time too. This is when we get put to work. This is when our purpose, I don't know, and I'm asking a question, this isn't a statement, but is this when our purposes become more fulfilled, I guess, you know?
Yes.
More fulfilled in that, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that would certainly, you know, that seems to, let me just finish this up. That, if I look at everything going on in these communities and all the people pushing so hard, including myself, wanting to serve, understanding enough of their purpose and their skill, their ability, their offering, whatever it is, if they could make that jive and harmony and flow with abundance and whatever, you know what I mean? Like demand, okay? Demand from the collective or the public or the clientele base, whatever, that they would be able to, or we would be able to ride these bumps a lot easier. So I guess what I'm saying is that type of climate, in your opinion, or from your perspective, is that coming in January, where we're going to be in demand, as we talked about last time, where we're going to be put to work, you know, full time?
Yes. We're already experiencing a part of it. Many of us are, okay. See, we've all come in with a very specific purpose, and we've been playing the role of the purpose, but we really never brought it to the level that it wants, that we came here to do. Okay, so now going in right now, we're opening ourselves our main purpose more and more. Going into January. And that may take a few months into the new year before all of that. So we'll be actually even more supportive so that we can put more of our focus in what we are here to do rather than, putting our focus in how can we sustain ourselves or, the mundane stuff that we've done. So it's like, I got to do my purpose, but I also have to survive sort of thing, So in essence,
Yes.
the shift is, that would be more kind of supported so that you can stay on track and more focused rather than, oh, I got to take care of this and I got to take care of that. I mean, you'll still do some, but it's not going to be the same way. And the thing that comes into demand, like I'm saying, is that if you are being of true service because of the fact that you are now facilitating, then people are going to feel like they want to support you in big ways so that you can do more of what you're here to do and not to put so much time in anything else. And that can be not only monetarily, but also in people taking on certain jobs, like, when you're doing certain things that people want to step in. Oh, how can I assist you so it's easier for you? And how can I step in so that you can do more of this? Or how can I step in and make this whole thing much more supportive in one way or another? So more of that will come into the, around the first quarter of 2020 at this point in time. So when
Hallelujah.
so when we're stepping, we'll feel and we'll notice it, because I'm sure we'll talk again when we get closer to it. You'll notice that when you're in the 2020, it's almost like another wave of energy that feels a little bit different and strange, because in essence it's a wave that we've never felt before. So we don't have a certain familiarity to it, but it's very supportive, very conducive in a sense. I'm looking. Go ahead.
I was going to say something's going on, because for the last 25 minutes, you've been morphing and speaking half digital galactic and half English, and I keep looking down to see if anyone's going to make a comment. And this has happened before, and it's happened with you before, but it's really happened today. Hey, let me ask you, and I don't know if this is relevant to where we're at and where we're headed, because the game's changing so quick. But in terms of our team, like, and you can correct this or expand on it or explain whatever you feel like you need to, because I'm just trying to say it in simple terms. We have a team. Mm-hmm. We have a support system in the ethers, let's just say. How much occurs to us by that team, which we're part of, decisions? And I'm talking about like things that might happen in your life, circumstances created, situations, events. And how much influence do we have on what comes our way? Does that kind of make sense? I mean, I'm trying to like separate the two, even though I know I can't. But appeals to our team, working with our team, co-oping with our team. Is it useful? Does it work? Is that team, can they come in with game changers? You get what I'm saying?
I think I do.
From where we've been and where we're going. Yeah.
Okay. So in regards to what you just said there, the team there is to support us. So they'll do whatever we ask them to support. Now, they're also observing to see how they can support us anyways. But at this point, if you ask them and say, well, okay, I need this taken care of, can you make arrangements for it or anything of that nature? Then they, in most cases, as long as they don't interfere with your soul's journey and what it's there to do, it will facilitate. Now, it depends on the role that you're taking on. If you're just taking a role of self-progress and so forth, their involvement is a little less. But if you're one of the forerunners that are participating with them and are the change makers in a sense, and playing an active role, then you'll find that they'll be more working with you more how do you call it, more attentively in a sense, because they want to make sure that whatever you're doing is taken care of in the best way possible. So they will step in that regards. For example, there's been some scenarios where as I'm sharing this information, it causes a ripple effect of anything dark forces or whatever people like to call it, that want to keep the agenda the way it is, kind of sending their little friends to come and mess things up, right? So, and then you start experiencing that, and then of course you're saying, okay, well now you call in your team and say, okay, can you kind of take care of these dudes here that are kind of interfering in this particular game, trying to distract or create something that doesn't make things effective at this point in time. You can get them to do that. There's times that they will communicate with you. You may not be always conscious, where you can actually, you are putting already a request and asking for some form of assistance in, facilitating you, maybe even changes within yourself, or the fact that some of the work that you're doing, how to be, to make it much more effective, and make also some certain connections to have certain people come in that would be able to be instrumental in what you're doing in that way. So yes, you can put requests, you can ask, for sure.
Well, no, I get that. I know they're not Santa Claus.
No, you're right.
I'm just in a playful mood today.
But, good. But I love it.
No, I get that. I get that. Well, I'm just trying to individualize it a little bit, because I know that it's a common energy, and I know there's a lot of people out there, like you talked about at the beginning of the show, and but it does, number one, it does. I think everybody can admit and say, you know what, something has really changed, like something is really, really different, and tomorrow it's even going to be more different. But yeah, it's I'm not in a hurry at all. but I am looking forward to what's coming, because it sounds like the sky's the limit, and I think, did you just say this a minute ago, the opportunity beyond unique, I guess, because you said we could be gone 100 years and come back and very little change, but we're in a period where extraordinary changes are taking place very quickly.
Yeah,
almost like if you came back in 20 years, it would be dramatically different.
Oh, absolutely. But
one go ahead.
Yeah, somebody even going away a few months or a year, I mean, it's going to be hugely different already, especially now anyways.
Right on. Man, I can't believe I made it this far. We went 20 minutes over. I was gonna bail out at 55 minutes. I was like, man, I can't do this. My head's about to explode. I thought I was gonna pass out.
Okay.
But I feel much better now. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for stabilizing me. Yeah. All right. Well, man, I appreciate it as always, and I really do. And any links you want to put up in the comments, or any announcements you need to make, or anything like that?
Yeah, I might put something. I have another workshop I was going to do on the 2nd of November, but I was instructed to wait until the 23rd now, because there's some other things that need to take place before that energetically, because the next one is phase 2 of the last one I just did back in the 5th of October. And so it's the next level up. And it looked like we were going to be ready for that information, but it's just basically, no, there's too many energies that are coming through that people are still internalizing and adjusting to. So it's going to be done on the 23rd. I didn't bring the information on the name of it, and we're still posting it. So we're going to be posting it shortly. So I will add it as soon as it's available. But if anybody wants to stay in tune, just go to the website and subscribe or join the community, and then you get. I'm sorry.
The name of the website is?
It's FrancoDiNicola.com. So FRANCO.
I know you've told me 100 times. I thought I had some different name to it. Yours is easy to remember. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, it's just my name, no space in between, just .com. That's it. Simple.
Very good.
Yes. Well, thank you again.
Yeah, and I just want to say too, I received an email a couple of days ago from a gentleman somewhere in the States, and anyway, he actually reached out. He's got some strong professional skills that could be very helpful to what we're doing. He offered help, but he also mentioned to me that he found he's been watching us on YouTube, and he really likes the shows with you, and he said that he went to, or I guess participated in the last one you had, and he was very impressed with it. He was very impressed with it. So I'm just pass that on. I just got that a couple days ago.
Thank you.
All right, okay. Franco, you take care.
Yeah.
And tell Kimberly hello, and I'll see you the next time. And thank you so much for coming and for doing everything you're doing. You take care.
And